Good morning, everybody. It's Dale from Erndale's. How is everybody this morning? I just thought that I would do a little short video showing you the project that I've been working on for over a year now. I'm going to be doing a regular podcast next week, but I just wanted to, it's been 3 weeks since I did a podcast, so I just thought that I would show you what I've been up to in the meantime. So what I'm working on is this quilt over here. It's a baby quilt. Before I show you the tour of it, I'm going to do a little close-up tour of it. I'm going to just have a little talk about it. So I bought this quilt top as a kit from Mary Maxim. MaryMaxim.ca is where I got it. I get a catalog from them every other month or so. Mary Maxim is a Canadian wool company or yarn company. They started off actually not too far from where I live right now. And they used to have physical stores, but I think they still do have a physical store in Ontario. But they're mostly online and, mail order, that kind of thing now. Anyway, I saw this pattern in their catalog a couple years ago, and my nephew and his wife were expecting a baby, and I thought it was really cute, so I decided to purchase it. So it comes in a kit with all of them. The floss even has a needle, instructions, and a printed out quilt with the printed pattern on it. So this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. And actually, the colors on the picture are much more washed out than the actual colors of the product itself. So like I say, I've been working on this for over a year. And, at first I thought when I saw this picture here on the catalog, this part here looked like it was painted in. A lot of the heavier stuff looked like it was painted in, and I was kind of surprised when I got the thing that it was all embroidery. This is an embroidered piece, very much embroidered. There's cross-stitch stitches, there's back stitches, there are French knots, there are satin stitches. Like it's a mishmash of all kinds of things. Most of the big areas of color are a cross stitch. So here we go. I'm going to just do a little close-up of where I'm at with this. So I hope I don't have a bunch of shadows. I started with the moon. That was my first part. And as you can see, there's like 1,000,001 stitches. So I still have some parts up here to do. Some little stars. And the cow is almost done. This part of the cow, this part here, that's going to all be satin stitch. All this, I don't know what to do with my finger. All of this is all satin stitch. So I've decided that I'm going to do all my satin stitching last. I have done some. The eyes obviously are satin stitched. But I'm going to, from here on in, I'm going to leave all the satin stitching to the end. The reason being is because I use a big hoop, and it gets a little hard on the arm to hold on to. I don't have a stand for my hoops, so if I leave the satin stitches, I can use a small hoop and just do it on when I'm sitting on the couch or my chair or whatever. So the cow has a ribbon kind of thing here. I've been working on finishing along one side. So I've done this side here. Here's Mother Goose. And there's some stars there. There's her head. I love her bonnet. That was so fun to do. It was actually a very fast stitch, that part. And then there's a little house I still have a little bit over here to do. There's a bush and then there's a thing of hollyhocks, and here I can show you here. See this part here? This is all satin stitch, so anything that's left over on this side is all satin stitch, and I'll go back and do that at the end. So I'll pull out a little bit. So Mother Goose, her wings, where is my finger? There it is. Her wings go like this. She sort of has her wings open behind everything. And then down here, this is where I was working this week. I've completed most of this. I still have his shoes. His legs are going to be satin stitched, not his shoes. And then her arm has to be satin stitched like her other arm is. Shoes are cross stitched, and then there's a little clump of flowers down here. So once I get this little part done here, this whole side will be done. If you can see, Mary put her initial on there, Mary Engelbrick. This is a Mary Engelbrick piece. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I love Mary Engelbrick designs for their characters. So this is called Mother Goose Crib Quilt. So it's a little bit of a mishmash of Mother Goose stories. So this would be the cat and the fiddle. Hey diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such a sight, which there's no dog. And the dish ran away with the spoon. This is the dish and the spoon down here. Now there's also down here 3 characters. I believe those would be 3 blind mice. I'm not sure if that was a Mother Goose thing. Some more flowers here. And then the main piece that's going to be left to do is the cat. I've done a lot of him. Where's my finger? There's his tail here. He's got a leg, part of his jacket, and a leg here. And then this part right there, in between there is the goose's other foot. And then the fiddle. This is mostly fiddle here. And a lot of the fiddle, the fiddle itself is cross stitched. The bow, this part of the bow here is satin stitch, and then the strings are all satin stitch. So there's still quite a bit of work to do there. And then, like I said, I have to finish this little part here, and this won't take me very long. So even though it looks like there's a lot of blue that still has to be done, like all of this and all along here, most of this is cross stitch. It'll go very quickly. I'll probably finish that off. I'm hoping to finish this part. Where am I? My finger. I'm hoping to finish this part down here, except for the satin stitch, probably this weekend. And then next week I should be able to finish this whole thing. What I've been doing, because I really want to get this finished by the end of January, I've been working on this long enough. The child who I'm making it for has already turned a year old. And I was fretting about that at first, but then I got to think about it. You know, actually, he's probably at the perfect age for this now, because he's past the spit up stage, and he will enjoy the characters now. You know, he's going to be more interactive with things, and I think the characters will be more exciting to him now, especially if he's hearing stories and things like that. So perhaps it's a good thing that it took me so long to get this done. So yeah, so I just have, you know, where the blue is, and it looks like a lot, but that's mainly cross stitch. And so if you can see here, like his whole head is cross stitch, but it's not, it goes very quickly. It fills in very, very quickly. That's one of his hands, and he's got a little bit of a collar with fancy stitching. And then he's got a little his coat is red, and then this brown part is a vest underneath his coat. So he has his tail still to do. And then this little bit here, that's the tails of his coat. So that'll be red. And then his foot goes down there. And then his other foot. And there's the goose's foot right behind his. That'll be orange. And then his other hand and the violin. So that part, even though it looks like a lot, it'll go quickly. And same with this. This will go quickly as well. I don't know the cottage. See, there's the door hinges and things. That's satin stitch, so I've left that. I don't know what part of the fairy tale the door is. I have a little bit of outlining to do on these trees, and I have to finish around these stars a bit. But this side is pretty much all completed except for the satin stitching right there. This is all done here. And this is where I'm working right now. So it's starting to, I think I can finish this by the end of January. I really do. A lot of the bigger areas are done. Like this area here was a lot of stitching because in the roof there was a lot of changing of colors. As you can see, it's sort of, there's actually 3 colors of red in there. So that takes time when you're always changing your outline colors and things like that. But the rest of the stitching, like the green, it was just a couple of color changes. It wasn't quite as intense. Even the cat, he wasn't that bad to do. It was just that little part in there where you're always having to change colors. And I think there'll be another part in here that'll be that way. So I have worked this mostly using this big hoop. It's actually a quilting hoop. And what I do is I just pick an area and I put the hoop on and I just work on that one area and then I move it. And when I'm doing smaller things like eyes and that satin stitch and stuff, then I just get a smaller hoop, you know, one of my littler hoops, and put that on there and then just stitch it. But this is why I've sort of decided to leave all the remaining satin stitches to the end, because I was changing the hoop all the time and I just kind of got tired of that. So this is what I've been working on. I hope to have this finished by the end of January, like I was saying. And then I want to actually put a different backing on it just to cover my work, which isn't horrible, but I just don't want the threads to be exposed. So I was thinking of what I'm going to back it with, and then I might just, because there is a bit of a binding around it, but I would like to do a different binding. I don't want anything that is really colorful because there's enough color in here. So I don't know if you're familiar with Mary Engelbrecht's stuff. A lot of her patterns have like a black and white check somewhere in them. And I was thinking of doing a black and white check background, like behind the backing, and then doing a strip of it all the way around. And I think that would make a really cute border, but I would do the black and white check sort of tilted so it looked more like a diamond than an actual check. I'll see. I'll figure that out. Right now, all our fabric shops are closed because of the pandemic, so I'm going to have to cross that bridge when I come to it, but I think that's sort of where I'm going. And also, a black and white border will pretty much go with any color of a baby's room. This would also make a great wall hanging. So that's my embroidery piece. I haven't done a large piece of embroidery like this, I don't know, in 30 years, I'm sure. And I'm not sure that I would actually endeavor in doing another one like this ever again, because I've had a radical mastectomy years ago, and I really struggle a lot with lymphedema in my one arm, and it's my working arm, of course, my right arm. And so when I do a project like this, I have a lot of swelling in my arm and in my hand, and then I get to the point that sometimes if I don't stop enough, that I can't even feel my fingers. So this kind of a intense project like this with a lot of hand movement and stuff like that is really bad for my arm. So I don't know that I would attempt another big piece, although I do enjoy stitching it. It's been so much fun to stitch. If my arm would cooperate, that would be great, but it doesn't. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I will do another one of these to show you the finished product when it's finished, and I hope that I can get it finished this month, because it really needs to be going to the home where it's going to end up. I'm just going to do a nice long shot for YouTube. So take care, everyone, and I will be doing a regular podcast next week. I have some other projects that I've been working on, some knitting and some cross stitch, and I have some haul to show you, and I have a few stitch alongs that I'm working on. So I'll see you next week. Take care for now. Bye-bye.